Scrappy peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you this layout that I created using a hodgepodge of Bella Blvd goodies. I had some newer collections and I knew I wanted to use that particular pink card and the yellow with the flowers and the green next to it, and I needed some additional green and pink to coordinate with that, and so had to dig into my stash. So I chose to use those two cards that are side by side as the sort of foundation of my layout. My original plan had actually been to leave the three of them together going across the page, and I could have done that and had them run fully across the page, but I knew I wanted some layers behind that central photo element, and so decided to cut that third one off. So when I pulled all the papers and the elements that I had, I pulled things with pink, green, yellow, and black. And I knew I wanted headers and footers for this 8.5 by 11 layout. So I cut a couple of strips out of the various hot pinks and greens in order to create those headers and footers. I thought that love would be cute as well, but these are young teenagers. It's my son and his girlfriend, and I didn't want to put the term love or force any sentiment that they didn't quite understand there. And I wanted to add some color and texture to this background, and I thought that that sort of floral looking stencil would be perfect. So I took some of my Heidi Swap Shine and added that to the white paste in order to create the color hue that I wanted. I had that small palette and so didn't want to spray the mist because knew that the spray was going to go further than my palette, and kind of struggled with getting it on there. I was going to pour, but I was worried I was going to get way too much pink, and so I just ended up actually putting color onto the palette there and then mixing it in. So I just want a little bit of the pink texture paste poking out from the top of the cluster there, and then something down the bottom. And I sort of non-discriminately just applied the paste. I had an idea of where that top cluster was going to go. I wasn't sure what was going to go down the bottom. And that straight line across the top there bothered me. And so I needed to go in and put a little bit more paste, and I wasn't patient. I probably should have waited for it to dry, but I also knew I was going to cover part of that. So I wasn't all that bothered by the smudge that ended up occurring there. So I have a straight strip. And then each straight strip is sort of finished off with a sort of a more triangular cut strip that both bring your eye down into the page. And pink on top of the green on the bottom, and then the larger pink with a smaller green that I'm going to use from that stripe there, from the more aquatic themed layout collection there. Pardon me. And you can see that when I do my process videos, I typically will just apply adhesive right away, and I often get sticky adhesive on my mat, and I'm trying to be better about putting paper behind the elements that I'm putting glue on. So I want that heart that's on the back there, and I know that I'm just using the pink as a border behind the photo, so I can go ahead and gut that and remove the heart so that I can fussy cut that and just lay this down. I have a new phone that I use for recording, and so I have to figure out a system that when I set things down on my desk, the camera isn't vibrating, so I'm sorry if you get a little massage throughout this video. I have some fun foam just to pop the picture up a little bit off the layout. And I used that clip that says "In Love" up there, and I know I tried not to use that sentiment. I guess I didn't want it to be, I didn't mind using the sentiment is what I should say, but I didn't want it to be too pervasive. And that subtle little heart there, And I toyed with tucking it in, as you can see up the top there, but it is rather big and I needed to soften it somehow. So I just cut out part of that because I knew I wanted to use the rest of the green somewhere, again, to provide another paper layer behind that photo corner there. I love the way that the black here, and I'm going to end up shifting them and it works much better, but I love the way that the black complements the black that's in the photo, the black door and the rail behind the stairs that they're standing on, and just sort of makes that picture less of an eyesore on the colors that I've chosen to use here. And not to say that the picture is an eyesore, but the colors in the picture don't complement the colors that I've chosen to use on the layout. And so it's a way to tie the picture into those particular papers. So I love the flower that's on that card there that says "Live Life in Full Bloom," but I wanted to create some more layers and make it a little bit more visually interesting. Not that it's not interesting, I just wanted to add my own touch to it. So I popped it up on some foam and I cut one of the circles that looks like the inner part of the flower out of the border paper that complements it to pop on top. And I thought it would be cool to have a second flower down the bottom of the layout. So I took the inside of this flower that I knew I was going to cover to create the flower down below. So that is my redesign of the flower, and then I just fussy cut around the outside because it was a bit messy in the process of cutting it out because I'd already glued it down to the page so that I could create another flower down at the bottom of the page there. So I'm going to get my big shot out, and again the camera's going to shake a little. I apologize. I will find a way to solve this solution. And I use this die here of some leaves to create the stem and leaves that flower is going to sit on at the bottom of the page. I do trim off the flower and reposition it just to give a more proportional look to the flower down the bottom there. I switched glue pens, had my Prima pen, but I knew that was going to leave glue on the mat, and so went with my Martha Stewart glue pen. And the embossing paste has dried at this point, so I can work directly on it. It doesn't take long for the embossing paste to dry, and I love the way that pink adds another sort of hot spot of that bright pink at the bottom of the page there. And I have these leaves, and I was going to use the original page, the card behind as another photo layer, but it really didn't need that. And so I wanted just a few embellishments to dress up the clusters a little bit, and I went with these hearts from Illustrated Faith, also by Bella Blvd. And now I want to work on the title. I also wanted to put a few more black and white elements in this, just again to soften the harshness of the black in that picture and sort of draw your eye to other parts of the page as well. So that little tab there with the heart was perfect, and I just cut that out to create a circle. So I just cut a little strip to put back behind the photos there, and because of where I put this strip, I need to shift things a little bit because there's a gap and some empty white space, and it feels like trapped space, and so I shift that green all the way over so that it's next to the In the Love paperclip, and then you can see that trapped white space there. And it's okay because your eye visually closes it with everything being in that same straight line there. So I have this silver metallic thread, and I create a thread ball to stick behind the back of the picture, the flower there, just for a little fun added element and to put a little bit of more texture onto the page. So I just used my Prima glue pen and put adhesive on the sticker, that pink flower sticker, which allows the thread to stick to it, and then the sticker on top. So I fussy cut a few of these leaves, again, just for a little bit more green in that top left corner there. There's a lot of pink, not a lot of green, and I wanted to add more of the color that I had used throughout the layout just to complement that there. And so the movement of this page, you can see you move from that top left cluster with the heart clip over to the flower to the right of the picture, and then down to that cluster with the handmade flower and the big heart. So I had these enamel dots and I really liked them. I thought the black was too much, a bunch on the polka dots there. I end up using one of the pink dots as the center of the flower that you can see I put in there, and then I go back in later because I found the green enamel dots that I had from Bella Blvd, and I put them two different hues along the edge of that journal card that says live life in full bloom. And I end up doing that off camera. So here's where I add a little bit more black to the element HoCo for homecoming and proposal. And I start with it down the bottom. And I'm not sure, I like it down the bottom, but I felt like I had a lot of white space, and I knew I wanted to journal on the back of the page, not the front of the page, because I had a lot of journaling that I wanted to do. And so I end up shifting it so that you get that diagonal movement from the top left all the way down to the right, rather than this sort of blob at the top third of the page that then shifts to this blob at the bottom right of the page. So that is, I end up moving the journaling, and you can see I use my tweezers to pull them up there because I hadn't fully stuck them down, which made them easy to relocate. So in a minute, I'm going to just cut out a pink heart out of that leftover right there and put that next to HoCo just for a little bit of that splash of pink there as well. And then I'm going to call this done. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you are inspired to mix some new and old collections and create your own little collection there. Enjoy the close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today. Take care.